I think it might be 5 actually. Anyhow, good morning. And let's start off with our usual little bit of Jibin Gong. And the date, of course, is January the 31st. So shake out the arms and shake out the legs as loosely as possible. With the legs, you want to shake them out right from the sacrum. Nice and loose. And now, using pung and on in the legs, letting the torso turn, slapping the waist. Lungs and kidneys. The first knuckle of the forefinger, the basin at the shoulder, and the tailbone. The tailbone, of course, is an important acupoint called the Wei Lu on the governor vessel. So you're hitting a bunch of acupoints with this exercise. You're doing the stomach 12, the lung 2, and the Wei Lu point. So I think that all of this has quite a bit to do with acupuncture work or acupoint work. And the waist. Constant there for a little bit more of a turn in the waist. And just relax. Make sure there's no sense of torquing in the knees. Okay, now I'm going to change the angle of the screen a bit. We don't need to see as much of the bookshelf, and I might need some of this floor space over here. So right now, sit into Wujibu. Widen the stance a little bit. Toes are pointed slightly out, so they're not actually parallel. Now, release this hip. By the way, I forgot my kerchiefs. Hang on a second, guys. Karna, can you? Sorry for the delay. Okay, so now I am better equipped, and this side is my right side. So, Wujibu, sitting into the hips, tailbone dropped, release the right hip, and flow to that side, letting the torso turn. Now, release to the center, release here, and press here. Now, when you're doing this, you want to make sure that you're not putting outward pressure on the front knee. So there are two parts of the action: release and press. Release and press. So you see, when you release, both legs are in pung. When you press, this leg is in on. So release and press, and the torso turns. release, and press. Release and press. Release and press. Back to the middle. Now you don't have to have the turn. So step out and open. Now in this case, I haven't let the torso turn. I'm to the front, my spine is straight, and my arms are open. Coming up. Now we can do the press and the step at the same time. So step and press and open, looking to the right. I'm looking in that direction. And then back. This is, of course, something that we're doing with our fan. We'll do it in a moment. This is Sun style, single whip. Step and open. Back. Step and open. Back. Step and open. Back. Step and open. Back. Now, turn. Now notice when you do this, that right here, the two hands are pressuring away from each other out towards the periphery of the circle of the movement. So it's not just that the two hands are going around and around. They're coming in and then they're opening up. This is, of course, where you get something like Storko's wings. And also because of that movement out, this is where you get elbow strikes. Like that. So here, feel the pressure in the palms as the palms pull out from each other. It's kind of like pulling taffy, which is probably something that you've never done. I'm showing my age there. So let the weight go to one side and then go to the other. So you have the whole body involved. And as I just pointed out with the Storko's wings, you could be going one way and then you could counter rotate. And there's a throw in there. And up. Okay, let's grab our fans. Now remember how we talked about lifting in the last class, and I pointed out that the elbows have to be slightly out and you have your hands turning like this. Now this is if you're doing empty hand. With the fan, you're not going like that. You're coming up like that. You have to have the same kind of spiraling energy through the arm and the armpit, but it's the ulna. Now, if I'm holding my arm like this, and if you took an x-ray of me, you'd see that there were two bones going down the arm. There's only a single bone here, and here the two bones would be parallel. Now, when I go like this, the bones are crossed. So the ulna bone is crossing over, or the radius is crossing over the ulna. So here the two bones are parallel. Here they're crossed. That action of the bones, driven by the muscle, is what governs rotating out and rotating in. So here, rotating out, and here, rotating in. We have the illusion of a continuous circle, but in reality, within the circle, there are discrete muscular movements. Here, the bicep is involved. As soon as I do that, now it's the tricep. So this muscular action, which is something that we study with the bong, has got discrete parts inside it, and we smooth them out and blend them. So here we have the rotation in, there's on, and then here we have the rotation out, and that's pung. Okay, let's go to the other side because this is a little bit of a qigong on its own. So here, bicep, tricep, bicep and abdominal muscles, tricep and chest muscles, pecs, pectorals. So here we have the complete circle, like that. Putting my fan down for a moment. So, pung, G, on, lu. Going the other way now. Pung, G, on, and lu. Holy smokes, I'm getting a load in my arms. Pung, G, there's the squeezing quality. On, pressing into the wrists, and lu. Now, feel how that connects to the feet. Pung, G, on, lu. So here I'm pressing from this leg, pung. Here I'm resting in, G. Here I'm pressing with this leg, on. And now I'm going to release into the center, lu. Can you feel how the root is going down through the center of your foot here? Pung, you keep that, but there's an element of pressure that is moving around the foot. G, on, and lu. Consider the fact now that the circle that you're doing is really an optical illusion. The hands are hardly moving in relation to the body. Pung, the hands are coming up in front of you. G, on, lu. Now, assume here, talking about these circles that we were doing. Okay, and this, of course, is the inner part of single hand reeling. This is opening, and this is closing. Okay, so in terms of open, the arm bones are now parallel. Close. One arm bone is closing over the other. So when we're doing these motions, opening, closing, there's the squeezing action. Closing, opening. So pung, opening, G, closing, on, sitting into the wrist and closing, lu, opening. Going the other way, pung, opening, G, closing, on, closing, lu. Now, I hope that you don't feel that this is a waste of time. What I've gotten used to is seeing seminars or taking part in seminars where Chen teachers have people going mechanically through circles and stuff like that, silk reeling, and not getting into the internal mechanics. So that's what we're doing here. This is the stuff that is not usually taught. The idea of the arm bones, doing this, and then doing something different here. So you have a continuous action, but you've got two different manipulations of the arm bones that create the illusion of that circle. Okay, so this is a bit of new material. I tend to introduce little bits and drabs in different classes, so God knows when I'll deal with this in terms of other classes. Are there any questions? Any questions or observations? Jill.
I just wanted to observe, Steve, that when you introduce this kind of, if you like, micro understanding of movement, I think for me, what I try to do is then pattern up the whole alignment and what's happening, as you did when you introduced also the legs and the lower dantian and so on, and then anticipate what it's going to do to the fan. So for us as receivers, there's a lot of work going on, just to let you know.
Okay. In other words, if I notice you drooling,
that would be it.
I shouldn't be alarmed. All right. Just keep wiping your mouth, okay? All right, let's do some of this stuff now with the fan. So obviously, we're going to ease our way into the commencement. Lift, come across the middle. There's the squeezing action. There's the pressing action. There's the release. Pung, G, on, Lu. Pung, G, on, Lu. And you've got this happening. Okay, now going the other way. Pung, G, on, Lu. And notice how much the tailbone drops when you get to Lu. Pung, G, on, Lu. Now, Lu, we're just doing like this. Lu, Lu. So within the context of the fan or Chen style, Lu, 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 Lu. This is the joint lock I demonstrated the other night with Karna. Okay, where we're illustrating the devil's handshake in Chen style from one side to the other. So here's the wrist. There's the elbow. This is yang, this is yin. You put it into this action here. This is old yang, yin yang palms. Okay, or old yang, two fishes going from one side to the other. Within this context, we could call it the devil's handshake. But back and forth. But this is Lu, which is a combination of a negative circle and positive. Negative coming in towards the center line, positive going out. Put them together. the other way. Just do the negative. Notice bicep, right around here, tricep. Bicep, tricep. Okay, so like this. Bicep, tricep. Bicep, tricep. So I was talking about the, I guess you could call it the articulation of circles, which is what's inside silk reeling, how it works. The articulation of circles is integrating into one smooth movement opposing sets of muscles. Okay, so here we have bicep working, here we have tricep moving. As soon as we start doing this, we're splitting them apart so that one is doing one is doing the other. This one's going to do positive, this one is doing negative. And we have a sensation in here of the dantian turning one way and then turning the other way. So we have a sensation of the waist rotating, and I'm not talking about the belt line, I'm talking about the true waist. All right. Is there anything else I should go further on there? This is basic stuff, but it's also deep stuff, and it's the stuff that most teachers neglect. Okay, let's go to the beginning of the form and try to put some of that in action. Now, I was looking at the video from 2 weeks ago. I was studying it last night and for about an hour and a half this morning. And I think in terms of following me, the best angle for you guys is for me to be going crossways here with my back to you. Okay, so rather than going up and down the gym, we'll assume that the gym is this way. Okay, and I'm going across here and you're behind me. This means, of course, that the stuff that you're not going to be picking up in relation to my hands. Now, if you think about the form as being this shape, there's the short axis. This is the long axis. Okay, when we're doing the form, we're facing on the short axis, and that's where you do your commencement. But most of the action is going to take place on the long axis. What makes it tricky is that some of the action is going to be going on the diagonal toward the corners, but most of the action in the form is going to be on that long axis. So we'll start off with me facing away from you, and this is the short axis. Okay, so I'm going to be doing stuff here and then turning around in that direction. So stand, salute. Relax into the right hip, your body's turning slightly. Step out and center the weight. Now here we go with what we just did. Commencement, come across, spiral down into the hip, open the right foot, come across, right hand is palm out. Step in, follow step. Trapping circle, step out. Chop, back. Guard the head, guard the knee. Bring in the left toe or the right toe, bring in the left heel, and now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up. Again. Commencement. Coming across with 2 fishes, or the devil's handshake, spiral down into the hip, open the right foot, shift. Now, and step out. Chop to the right rear, back. Protect the head, protect the knee. Level the arms, adjusting the right toe in. Bring the left hand and left heel in, step through. The fan is now inside the left tiger's mouth. Stepping to the side, 1, 2, turn, 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 closing the fan and up. Little things. When you are going up like that, see the angle of the foot. It's the same angle as when I do the trapping circle, but this time it's suspended out in front of you with the sole slightly flared that way and the toe pointed. It's going at knee height. Now, another thing, somebody sprinted through behind me here. Was that to be considered a photo bomb? Yes. Photo bombed. All right. Another thing is when you do, when we did with this exercise where we're doing this, and I talked about the pressure between the palms when you're going out, we could consider this to be a kind of, there she goes again. We could consider this a kind of centripetal force. It's a force that is going out, those instead of coming in. Well, you look at this movement here. I'm going to want you to watch my arms particularly. Now watch. Okay, so you've got that sort of thing happening. Whenever you have circles, that possibility is there. Now, for purposes of being able to focus on my hands, this is still the long axis. I'm going to do that first set of movements facing you. So this is where it could get confusing in terms of the mirroring. And then I'll do it again facing away from you, and then we'll take questions. Salute. Commencement. Okay, questions?
Yeah, Bob, when you're coming around in a circle and you close the fan, and then it looked a little different the way you were doing it today than you did last week. It looked as if last week as if you closed it and then you came in the front and then back around. Maybe I'm missing something here.
I think that if I put any flow to it, the fan is going to be closing, I think, on the fourth step, or rather at the very end, the fifth step. So in other words, it doesn't close on you and turn, it closes as you turn.
Yeah, okay, that's
Okay,
fine.
closes
But
as you turn.
it's what you do immediately after you close it.
Okay, well, let me, okay, you're dealing with this again. Okay, so the closure of the fan is part of that circling process. And over and over and over again, you have that Lia circle. So you did it at the beginning with the business about protecting the head and the knee.
Yeah.
And then you're doing this turnaround, and then you're turning around, you're doing it again when you come up into present the incense to the sky. Over and over again, you have this clockwise circling with all of those parts that we started off the lesson today with.
Yeah, but it.
Okay, so let me demonstrate it, Bob. One, two, three, 4, 5. And you see how you have this going? So you see it's blending between 4 and 5, I think. So once again, here. Yeah, it's connecting the final 2 steps. And as I'm turning, I'm
All right, yeah, that's what I thought, but there was one time when you seemed to, after you closed it, you came down in the front and then went back.
my lack of consistency, Bob, is simply me getting in touch with the feminine aspect of my personality.
Okay, that's fine. We just decide which one works, which one.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Lack is not a feminine problem.
Okay. Get away. Let me express my inner chauvinism. All right. Does that help?
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
Or does it merely offend? Okay. Do not ask for normality, as postmodernism may offend.
Steve, this is Judy.
Yes.
I still get super lost on that turn. I always end up a quarter of a turn in the wrong direction and on the wrong foot.
Okay.
Could you please walk me through it, like calling out?
Okay, Judy, I've just lost your,
Yes.
you froze up. I should point out that this is something which, thanks to Jill, has been explained in great detail in those notes that you haven't read yet.
Okay, duly chastised. I shall read the note.
Doing my best, but you have to read the notes. So let's go back and have another look. Jill, were the notes adequate on the stepping?
Why don't we test them?
All right.
I think they are.
Do you have them handy?
I do.
Okay. Now, what I would suggest, and this is the set of notes that has movements 1 to 4, but not the whole document. Now, what I'm going to do is let's all of us be on gallery view, because otherwise it's going to wind up going to Jill's voice, I think. And Jill, if you read me the instructions bit by bit, item bullet by bullet, and I will walk through it.
Sure.
Okay, so let's try it that way. So I'm starting off in the cat stance.
Sidestep to right while, is that okay? Sidestep to right while facing to front, deflecting down to right with fan held horizontal palm up.
Yep.
2, facing to front, cross step behind with left foot, while circling the fan counterclockwise and stabbing up to right with the vein end of the fan. Step and stab are completely simultaneous. During this, the left elbow is bent and is directed palm up towards the right elbow, as in present the flowers.
Okay, like that.
3, lower the left heel and turning the fan palm down, shift your weight to the left foot. This starts the turn to the left. As the heel lowers, the toes of the right foot must raise to avoid torquing the knee. 4, continue the turn, pivoting the right toe in so that you are momentarily extremely pigeon-toed and the weight is on the left foot.
Now, if you have a look at my position right now, this is classic Bagua. Continue, please, Jill.
5, shift the weight to the right foot and pivot on the left heel, opening the foot into an extreme Bagua step. This continues your turn to the left with the fan carried in front of you at eye level, palm down. 6, shift around 3/4 and shift your weight to the right foot while closing the fan over your head and circling your arms in a clockwise circle. You have now completed a turn of more than 360 degrees and are now facing left to the left of your starting position. Stand up on the right leg, extending to the left to front, bent slightly with sole turned in. Right arm with fan completes the Leah circle by extending overhead with hand counter rotated. This is Offer Incense to Sky.
Okay, so those work. Okay, now let me walk through it without the fan. Okay, so just the stepping, just the feet. And I should point out, this is a new form. Like, this was developed probably 1980s, 70s or 80s. But it's a classical form in terms of its inner logic, which means that the creator is not hesitating to hit you with a really difficult move right at the beginning. That's typical of classical forms. Modern forms tend to have a more athletic rationale, and they start off simple. Okay, and this one doesn't. So without the fan, cat stance. Now, nothing but the stepping. Side step with the right foot. Shift the weight to the right foot. Cross step back with the left foot. Start the circle by lowering the heel and raising the right toes. Pigeon-toed. Shift the weight to the right foot, open the left foot. Step around. Weight shifts to the right foot. Stand up on the right foot. with the fan now. Right step and block down. Circle blocking up, stab and cross step. Heel goes down, raising the right toes, fan turns palm down. Pigeon toed. Bagua step, turn around. And up. And there I close the fan slightly early because of the necessity of articulation. Nothing wrong with that. It's going to be closing in those last two moves. Doing this towards you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And up. So, and remember, I'm not ending up here. I'm ending up facing there. Okay, so it's more than 360 degrees. It's 1 1/4 circle. So here, facing to the front. To the front, and now I'm facing to the left. Does that help, Judy?
Immensely.
And when you're doing this, it's rotated like this, like sort of the Statue of Liberty holding her torch, and you extend it well overhead, quite far up. Don't just bring it up to here, up, making sure that you do not activate the trapezius. Okay, the big trapezius muscle. Okay, shall we continue with some new stuff? Alrighty. Now this next move is one that I have changed. I'm articulating it a bit more. Suppose that you are in a tussle and it's gotten scrambly and you want to hit this person, but you haven't got much going there. This is one solution. Okay, to drive down with your elbow turned like that, hitting them with the point of the elbow. So the hand is coming up and you're going, boom. Okay, and this is holding him down. So he's bent over and you're going to go bang, bang. So here, bang. And then the shoveling move. So what we have here is we have the fan going up, coming down, elbow, open, and then move out of it. So we're articulating one possibility. And the reason I'm doing this is equivalent to a movement called King Kong male fist in the Chen style. Okay. Difference being here that it's the other foot that is coming up and then dropping. And the issue here is that if you're only hitting with the arm, not an awful lot of power. But if you're hitting with your entire weight, boom, that's more. So it's the whole body falling and the weight of the body being transmitted into this point of contact. So it's a worthwhile skill, I think, at this point, and it's indicated by the form. So up, like that, elbow, boom, open the fan. And this is what Sifu Helen, or Master Helen, this is what she described as a shoveling move. The fan is turning palm up and you're shoveling up like that into this zone, or it could be the eyes. So empty hand, I'm like this and boom. Here, here, open. And then from here, we're into this material. So one, two, turn. Close the fan. The arms are wheeling up, down, and now I'm going into the diagonal or the oblique to there. So remember, this is the long axis that we're following, not the room in this form. So this is the long axis. We started here. Then we're doing the circle here, and then I'm going there. So I started here, and this final move is stepping there into what from here is the left rear corner. Okay, I'm doing this because directions can be an issue with this form. So square, circle, turn, square facing left, up, and then move to the corner. Then from here, we're going to do a number of moves in here, and then we're going down the long axis for the duration of part one. Now, what should I go into further? Everybody okay with that? Okay. Everybody okay with that? All right. Once again, off the top. And this is the long axis. Salute. Sink into the right hip. Move into Wujibu. Commencement. Sit. Come across. Spiral down and sit some more. Open the right foot. Shift. Trap. Step out. Chop to the rear. Come to the front. Here's where you have an elbow strike if you want it. Bump. Protect the head and the knee. Level, bringing in the right heel and the left, or the right heel and the left heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up, down. Circle, negative circle. Step, shovel. This hand's protecting the head. Again. Salute. Sink into the right hip. Step left. Wujibu. Commencement to the right. Sit. Come across. Sit and spiral. Open the right foot. Come across. Trapping circle. Stepping out. Chop and back. Circle with a chop if you want, Protect the knee, protect the head, pivot in the right toe and the left heel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Circling the arms or wheeling the arms and up, down, open, shovel. And you see, this is a really square forward bow stance, very square, not oblique at all. Okay, guys. Any questions on there? Unmute and ask if there are any questions. Okay. The next movement is what you can call covering. And it is something that is all the way through the form, but Helen does not emphasize it quite as much as I do. I think one of the reasons being is that at an early point of its evolution, this form is for Kung Fu people. So it tended to be very simple in terms of blocks and strikes. So I'm sort of influenced by Chen style when I do this. So from here, one way of doing the next move is just to block down. And that's how I originally taught that. Just blocking down, and then you do the closure of the fan and step out into the hit. What I would prefer to see is this. So just take your fan, palm down, palm up, palm down, palm up. Here, palm down. It's a teacup.
Very slow, please.
See the snake in the arm? So you're parrying with this, and you're parrying with this. Now we're getting into a little bit of something that works very nicely in empty hand. Judy, this is something that you might have in your karate, but it's where you're parrying like this. So this is your Lohan block, like that. And then you have an advancing back fist with the hand coming in here to protect the elbow. So block, see the snake? Chomp. Block, chomp. So here, coming around, block, chomp. Like this. Block. See how the fan is here? The end vein is extended, so you have a block there. Then you're going to close the fan chop. And then you have a second chop with the fan closed. Shoveling into the throat. Okay, so from here, coming up and down. Then block. And the closing of the fan is a hit. Makes a bit more sense if you have a loaded ruffle. Now, when you're doing the covering, it's as if you're wearing a low-cut evening gown and you're flirting. So this is going up and you're covering. Then you're opening things up for the next series of moves. So here, there, is this like a good explanation? Now, one thing to point out, you have a hidden technique here. Right there. What I'm doing is I'm pointing the end vein at the other person's face. I can continue the movement, or I could be going boom, boom, boom. Okay, and stabbing with the end vein, which is anchored securely into my hand. So here, if you take your fan and you see how you've got the ribs exposed on one side and the ribs are hidden on the other, nothing but fabric. So let's call this the rib side and this the fabric side. So you're shoveling up with the fabric side up. End on, and then turn the ribs in. So the ribs now are towards you and they're in here. So the fabric side up, ribs in, and fabric side out, like that. Then exposing the ribs to the other person, close the fan. Shovel up, cover, close. Shovel up, down, cover. Now, turning away from you, shoveling up, cover. There's going to be a lot of covering in this form, so that's an important skill to develop. How's it going, guys?
That's good. I think I finally figured out that move.
Now, I've never worn an evening gown with a low neckline, but I think I understand the principle. You guys okay with that? Okay, it's 10:31. Jill, do you have a question about that?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. So this is sort of the more detailed part of what we're doing. What I'd like to do now is go through all of part 1 and I think part 2. So if you're uncomfortable with doing that, you can head off on your own. However, you're welcome to come along for the ride and do some surfing. Okay, I mean surfing on our movement. That's what I mean. But the business about the covering, this is something that you won't see. You'll see indications of it in Helen's video, but she tends to simply block down because one of the things that was, I think, of influence upon her is one of her senior students, and this is where she was teaching the fan form at a very early point, was a senior karate guy in, I think, I'm not sure whether it was Burlington or Oakville, the Sunrise Karate School, Mike Ham. And Mike is someone who was at a wonderful level in both karate as well as in Tai Chi. And so I think that she was, doing movements that would sort of fit into his ability to teach this form to his students in the karate school. And so they're harder blocked here, whereas I'm trying to make this quite seriously a little bit more feminine. Okay, with the brushing, reflective movement, and more of quality of flow, okay, instead of the chops. Is that the doggy that was sick? No? I should point out that Judy has a stoner dog that eats marijuana in parks. Poor thing. Okay, guys. And for the directional stuff, a question, is the orientation working okay? Me for the long axis going across the room from the kitchen towards the hallway. So you're looking at my back. Okay, thank you.
I think so.
Okay, now obviously that's not as long as the space going down the room. So I'm going to go through the 2 sections of the form, but at various points, at around probably 4 points, I'm going to need to reposition myself. Step out with the left foot. Mujibu. Radius up and commencement. Sit. Left hand palm down, right hand palm up. Spiral down into the left hip, open the right foot. Left hand palm up, right hand palm out. Shift into follow stance. Trapping circle. Step out. Chop to the right rear. Come back. Protect the head. Protect the knee. Start wheeling the arms, pivoting in the right toe and the left heel. Circle step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And up. Elbow. Up on the fan. Shovel. Cover. Close the fan. Block with the left hand. Fan comes in under the left armpit. Step out into a heel stance. Chop. Shift the weight with a twist step. Follow stance. Step out and thrust. Open the right foot. You're doing a wheeling circle now. Close the left, weight to the right foot. So you're going to back step. Bring in the left heel, step through. Now you can pivot or you can step. I've got carpeting here, so I'm going to step. So I'm going to turn around and I want to end up facing in the direction we started in. From here, turn, come around, and I'm now in this position here. Good place to make an adjustment. Step out, up, back, forward, back, forward, cover and twist step. Circle step, around, up, back, forward, and back, forward. Give yourself some extra space by shifting weight to the left foot and stepping out with the right, and close the fan. And there's a hit as well. Butt strike with the fan. Left hand goes behind your back, palm up, and forms a fist. Fan goes low, palm down, block coming through with the left fist. Open the fan, sink into snake creeps down. Shift, bring in the left heel, step through clockwise circle, and knee comes up like this. Turn the fan and look at it, and the hand falls down. Shoveling up with Fair Lady works the shuttles, or maybe Fair Lady works the shovels. This is the end of part one. Going into part two. Shift, pivoting in the left toe. Hand palm up, turns palm down. Now I'm going to walk on a diagonal in that direction. So 1, 2, pivoting, block down. 3, and the palm is striking over the fan. Shift back, opening my left toe. Like I'm drawing a bow, shoot the arrow. Boom. Stepping out with my left foot. Open, and I'm on the diagonal. Close, turning toward the square. Open, and closed. Turning towards the other diagonal. Open, and close. Circling the fan, step, fan palm up, step out to the front again, partition of horse's mane. Half step, raise hands, close the fan, stab down onto the left arm, step back with the right foot, cat stance, and white crane flashes wings. Step back wa, pigeon toe, Sun style single whip. So here and open. Here and open. Cat stance. Going to walk in a circle again. 1, 2, 3. Left foot goes back, cross step. I sink. Left hand goes down, and I raise the fan. The left knee is tucked behind the right. End of part 2. And again. Salute. Sink into the hip. Step out. Commencement. Across. Spiral down. Open the foot. Shift. Circle. Step out. Chop to the right rear. Come back. Elbow striker circle. Protect the head. Protect the knee, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up and elbow. Open. shoveling, cover, close the fan, chop, twist step, thrust. Shifting forward. And my handwork there is different from Helen's. Sophie does it Helen's method. Now I'm going to walk because of the carpeting here. 1, 2, my fan's coming up. 3, and there. Then up and back, forward and back, and forward. Cover and twist step. Turn, cross step, and once again, you're into the ding for the distance. Step out, up and back, forward and back, forward. Close the fan. Hit with the butt. Left hand forms the fist. Block. Down. Adjust the feet. Step through. Fan is open to the side. Look at the fan changing its position. And you're in a cat stance. Step out. For a lady works the shuttles. Shifting back. Left hand underneath, adjusting the left foot. And walking on a diagonal. 1, 2, 3, and block down. Shifting back, shoot the arrow. That's fist under elbow. Open, close. Open, close. You see how you're turning in a circle there? Open, close. Half step and circle. There. Half step again. There. Underneath. Now, turning here, however you get around there. 1, 2. I'm going to walk. 1, 2, 3, 4, sit. Left hand down, fan being raised. This is looking over the fan or looking at the moon. Sophie, do you have anything to add?
Hi, Steve. No, I'm good, thanks.
All right.
Okay,
Any other questions from anyone else? Jill, I assumed you had a question there, then you walked away, so I'm sorry.
No, sorry, I always turn off my video just because of the dimensions of my room. So I'm just joining, that's all.
Okay. So everybody is okay with that? Okay, let's go through 1 and 2 once more then, and then we'll wind it up. There's no necessity of us going right through until 11, so as long as we get a little bit of practice as far as we can, this is good. And I'm not going to give you verbal instruction this time, so I hope that you're able to get through it okay. The verbal instruction tends to make me over-articulate a little bit too much for my own purposes. Okay, so I'd like to be able to flow with it a bit more. But I will be changing my position, and I'll tell you when I'm changing my position, because I know some of you are not in a position where you can necessarily follow on your computer screen. Salute.
It's also interesting that when I'm talking and articulating, that's when I have mistakes creep into my own form. I realized at one time that I was doing that last section with you, that I didn't do the Sun style single whip the right way. All right, so when I'm flowing, then the good things happen. Alrighty, are there any questions? Are you having fun with this?
This is fantastic, Steve.
Okay, so anyhow, that's it then. We'll be meeting again with the fan in 2 weeks' time. Okay. Now we have the document in progress. Every time that you get the video, you probably are going to get within the next couple of days a revised version of the document. This next one will probably go movements up to maybe a move 6. So what I would do is when you get this new one down, just erase the old one. Okay, I find that I'm revising more. For example, the document, the short document you have right now of the fan form movements 1 to 4, I sent it out to you, and I've revised it twice since then. A lot of it consists, and this is something that Jill suggested, of putting basic stuff in and explaining it just very briefly. So you don't have to be cross-referencing a whole bunch of different documents if you're new to this sort of thing. I had questions about things like what's the ulna in the arm. I made a reference to fencing, so I got rid of the fencing references. I'm explaining stances a bit more. So for people who are fairly new to this, this is a way for them to acquire basic stuff like stance training, at least the intellectual component of it, using the fan form as an entry. So don't get wed to the short one you've got. We're gradually rewriting the entire fan document. I'm assuming that this is going to take approximately a year to teach in this way. And what I shall try to do, as we did today, is get into detail and go reasonably slow in these initial moves, and then have a couple of run-throughs as far as we've done. At the moment, we're halfway through the form in terms of the total run-throughs. I hope the people who are veterans will be patient with that. Down the line, and I'm not quite sure how far down the line, probably a month or month and a half, we're only going to be doing in the run-throughs up to the first half, and then we'll be getting more into the second half. As I said, I hope that you are content with this being a slow process. Patience is hopefully one of the things that we learn from Tai Chi. All right. So, oh yeah, and also remember that we're having a New Year's Zoom event. It's a pretty poor substitute for the lovely Christmas parties and New Year's parties that we had in the past. But we are having a Zoom event 7 o'clock on Friday, February the 12th. So if you want to just come online so you can check out the faces on other people in the club and see how they have aged, you are welcome to do so. However, share your own image so we can check out how you've aged too. And I know I'm very, very confident in the fact that we are all of us aging gracefully. All right. So long, everybody. Good practice, good health.